Top 10. John Lennon and his killer. On December 8, 1980, John Lennon signs an autograph on his way out of his New York apartment building for a fan named Mark David Chapman, who would murder the iconic musician on this very spot when he returned home just a few hours later. As Lennon made his way back into the building at about 10:50 p.m., Chapman stepped out of the shadows and fired 4 shots into his back. Lennon was pronounced dead at Roosevelt Hospital some 25 minutes later. "He was very kind to me," Chapman later said of their encounter earlier in the night. "Very cordial and decent man." Top 9. The real-life, Shining Hotel. Though its story remains lesser known, the hotel that inspired The Shining is just as chilling as its fictional counterpart. Long before his stay at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado prompted author Stephen King to write The Shining, this Rocky Mountain lodge was leaving its visitors terrified. Seen here under construction in the early 1900s, the hotel was home to an unexplained explosion in 1911 that left a chambermaid maimed. She returned to work, but after her death years later, guests reported seeing her ghost stalk the halls, especially the scene of the incident in room 217. This was the exact room where King spent his fateful and terrifying night at the Stanley in October 1974. Top 8. The disappearance of Tara Calico and the creepy picture left behind. On September 20th, 1988, Tara Calico vanished from the face of the earth. The 19-year-old left her New Mexico home to go on her daily bike ride, and never came back. Just before leaving, she jokingly told her mother she'd better come looking for her if she didn't return. To this day, she has never been found. But in June 1989, a mysterious Polaroid turned up in a parking lot in Florida, nearly 1,500 miles away from where Calico had disappeared. Though unconfirmed, it appears to show Calico, based on matching scars and the dog-eared paperback next to her, and the young boy, both bound, gagged, and absolutely terrified. Top 7. Serial killer John Wayne Gacy as an infant. Before American serial killer John Wayne Gacy was finally caught in 1978, he raped, tortured, and murdered at least 33 teenage boys and men in his Illinois home. But long before his murderous reign, during which he worked as a clown at children's birthday parties, John Wayne Gacy was just a normal boy. However, knowing what was to come after this photo was taken makes it one of the most undeniably creepy images of all time. Top 6. The creepy image of the Soviet scientist and his two-headed dog. In 1959, Soviet scientist Vladimir Demikhov actually managed to create a two-headed dog. After 23 tries that left his canine subjects dead in short order, he was finally able to achieve a small measure of success. He grafted one head onto the other's body, sewed their circulatory systems together, and connected their vertebrae with plastic strings. After the procedure was completed, both heads could hear, see, smell, and swallow. Sadly, his methods were still relatively crude and the dog only lived 4 days before dying. While his research was a pioneering foray into head transplantation, experts debate the ethics of such procedures to this day. Top 5. Radium Girls. Hundreds of young girls and women who worked in American watch factories during the 1920s were exposed to so much radium that they came home glowing in the dark. The prolonged exposure to radium, used in the luminous paint that coated the watch faces, caused their vertebrae to collapse, their jaws to swell up and fall off, and their lives to slowly end in agony while battling cancer. Top 4. The Stanford Prison Experiment. The Stanford Prison Experiment commenced on August 14, 1971, after university psychology professor Philip Zimbardo divided student volunteers into 2 groups comprised of 11 guards and 10 prisoners in order to see how they would behave on their own inside a fabricated prison. The goal was to assess how quickly and intensely even educated and intelligent people can turn cruel and sadistic under the right conditions, and find out once and for all whether humans are inherently good or evil. In just 6 days, before the experiment had to be called off, the guards had repeatedly abused and humiliated the prisoners by spraying them with fire extinguishers and forcing them to clean toilet bowls with their bare hands. The study and the creepiest photos left behind provide a chilling look at what humans are capable of. Top 3. The Nuclear Shadows of Hiroshima. On August 6, 1945, the United States of America dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. And for some of the approximately 80,000 people who lost their lives, only a nuclear shadow remained. When the bomb detonated at 1,900 feet above the city center, the subsequent explosion caused temperatures of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit to annihilate nearly everything within 1,600 feet of the bomb's blast zone. Almost anything and anyone within a mile was destroyed. The bomb's light and heat were so extreme that they bleached the city's exposed surfaces, except in places where an unsuspecting person shielded the building or sidewalk or bridge from the blast with their own body in their final moments alive. Top 2. The Death of Robert Overeker. While countless attempts at traversing Niagara Falls have been made over the years, Robert Overeker had an admirable reason for attempting his crossing: to raise awareness for the homeless. Unfortunately, his October 1995 attempt didn't go as planned. Overeker planned to ride through the water on a jet ski and then open the parachute on his back as he went over the edge and let his vehicle plummet down into the river below the falls. But when his parachute failed to open, it was the 39-year-old Californian who fell 180 feet to his demise. "It's like hitting cement," said Niagara Parks police officer Thomas Dedenbeck of Overeker's last moment alive. "I don't really think people respect the power of the falls." Top 1. The Spontaneous Combustion of Mary Reeser. On the morning of July 2, 1951 in St. Petersburg, Florida, Mary Reeser's landlady went to the old woman's apartment to deliver a telegram and noticed that her door was warm to the touch. Upon opening the door, she found Reeser almost completely reduced to a pile of ashes lying on the scorched remnants of her chair. A part of her left leg and her skull, shrunken far beyond its normal size, were all that remained. Local authorities were unable to determine any cause of the blaze, and the rest of the apartment was largely devoid of fire damage. When they sent the case to the FBI, they determined that Reeser had gone up in flames like the wick of a candle, with her own body fat steadily feeding the fire, but they too were baffled as to how the blaze started in the first place. To this day, it's widely believed that this was a case of spontaneous human combustion. Thank you for diving into the chilling realms of our top 10 creepy pictures with backstories. Your courage to explore the eerie narratives behind each image makes our community truly special. Stay tuned for more spine-tingling stories that keep you on the edge. Your support fuels our passion for the mysterious. Until next time, stay fearless, and may the shadows never dull your curiosity. Thank you for being part of this eerie journey.